Hey there everyone, welcome back to Rocky Watches Movies. Today we're travelling back to the 1980s to explore the animated powerhouse that is He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. This iconic series, with its muscle-bound hero, unforgettable villains and action-packed storytelling, became a cultural phenomenon. But how much do you really know about the show that made Eternia come alive? So grab your power sword and by the power of Grayskull, let's battle through 20 things you never knew about He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. A long time ago, in a boardroom far, far away, one of the most infamous blunders in business history unfolded. In 1976, writer-director George Lucas approached Mattel with an offer to license the rights to produce toys for his upcoming science fiction epic Star Wars. Mattel CEO Ray Wagner, cautious about the $750,000 upfront fee for untested film property, decided to pass on the opportunity. Instead, the license was awarded to Kenner, one of Mattel's largest competitors. This decision allowed Kenner to sell an extraordinary number of toys, based not only on the 1977 Star Wars film, but also the sequels. It wasn't until the successful launch of the He-Man toy line in 1982 that Mattel could finally mend nearly 6 years of regret. When it came time for Mattel to develop the next big hit, toy designer Roger Sweet realized he needed a hero who could blend seamlessly into any scenario. In his 2005 memoir, Mastering the Universe, He-Man and the Rise and Fall of a $1 billion Idea, Sweet recalled pitching He-Man as a concept that thrived precisely because of its unassuming, adaptable nature. After all, when it comes to naming your hero, it doesn't get much more generic than He-Man, and that was exactly the point. Early sketches for He-Man created by toy designer Mark Taylor drew inspiration from Vikings and Cro-Magnon men. In 1980, Sweet modified one of Mattel's Big Jim figures, crafting 3 prototypes to demonstrate how this hero could fit into any setting. This versatility opened the door for Masters of the Universe, eventually blending elements of science fiction and sorcery into its unique and captivating lore. With the He-Man concept finalized, the next challenge was selling it to retailers. To impress buyers, Mattel's marketing director, Mark Ellis, had DC Comics create a mock He-Man comic, showcasing the brand's crossover potential. Ellis has recalled pitching to Toys R Us, only to hear, "5-year-olds don't read." Thinking fast, he bluffed, "Did I mention the 2 one-hour TV specials we're running?" The problem? They didn't exist. Determined to follow through, Ellis pursued animation studios. Hanna-Barbera passed, but Filmation's Lou Scheimer saw big potential, suggesting a full animated series. His genius, pairing the show with ad dollars to secure syndication deals. Before the release of Mattel's Masters of the Universe action figure line in the autumn of 1982, the figures were initially grouped under the working title Lords of Power Collection. The title Lords of Power was ultimately dropped, reportedly because it sounded somewhat religious. Shortly after, it seems someone had a stroke of genius, renaming the line Masters of the Universe. Prince Adam's transformation into He-Man, his heroic alter ego, is one of the most iconic moments from the Masters of the Universe cartoons. But there was no transformation at first because there was no Prince Adam. Before the cartoon aired, He-Man's backstory and mythology were outlined through the mini-comics that accompanied the action figures. In these early tales, neither Prince Adam nor the concept of He-Man having a secret identity existed. Although Mark Taylor's early sketches explored the idea of He-Man with a royal alter ego, Prince Adam didn't officially become part of the canon until the Masters of the Universe cartoon debuted in 1983. If you're enjoying the video, a subscribe to the channel would be the key to unlocking the secrets of Castle Grayskull. Few realise how successful the show truly became. By December 1984, the series was drawing 9 million US viewers on weekday afternoons. It aired on 166 American stations and in 37 countries around the world, becoming the highest-rated children's show in America, a remarkable feat for a barbarian and his pet cat. Around that time, Saturday mornings were reserved for first-run programming, while local stations filled weekday slots with reruns of older cartoons like The Flintstones and Tom and Jerry. Major networks like ABC, CBS and NBC initially rejected the show. This prompted Filmation president Lou Scheimer to pioneer first-run weekday afternoon syndication, breaking away from the norm of the reruns. He-Man not only revolutionized animation by airing 5 days a week, but also paved the way for hits like G.I. Joe and Transformers. This shift helped make the series and its toy line a cultural phenomenon, while ushering in a new era of animation, albeit at the expense of traditional Saturday morning cartoons. He-Man, Man-at-Arms and their allies appear human but are actually Eternian, or, in He-Man's case, only half Eternian. His mother, Queen Marlena, was born on Earth. Marlena's journey to royalty in a world of magic swords and villains began as a NASA astronaut. After her spacecraft veered off course, she crash-landed on Eternia, where King Randor rescued her. The two eventually fell in love and Marlena became Queen of Eternia. Her earthly origins were first revealed in the DC Comics story From Eternia with Death. Not only is He-Man's mother from Earth, but he also has a twin sister, Adora, whose first screen appearance was in the feature film He-Man and She-Ra, The Secret of the Sword in 1985. Then, though, there is Skeletor. The original series never touched on Adam's connection to Skeletor, but in the 1980s mini-comics, the character of Keldor is briefly mentioned as being the long-lost brother of King Randor. He later appears in the 2002 animated series, where Skeletor's backstory confirmed his original identity as Keldor and established him as Randor's brother, He-Man's uncle. Despite being the cornerstone of a billion-dollar franchise, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe was produced on a modest budget. One of the cost-saving decisions led to a name change for He-Man's quirky little wizard sidekick, Orko. His original name was Gorpo, but his fashion choice made it impractical. Orko sports a large O on his chest, and the beauty of the letter O is its symmetry, which allowed animators to flip the footage and reuse it without anyone noticing. If they'd stuck with Gorpo, the animators wouldn't have been able to take advantage of this nifty shortcut. Without He-Man, 90s pop culture might have looked very different. The show's creative team included Paul Dini, Bruce Timm, and J. Michael Straczynski, three names that later shaped animation and sci-fi. Dini and Timm became legends with Batman the Animated Series and its spin-offs, defining DC animation for a generation. Dini also wrote for He-Man, G.I. Joe, and Transformers, while Timm worked as a layout artist on He-Man and a character designer on She-Ra. He also contributed to The Real Ghostbusters, where he again crossed paths with Straczynski. A decade before creating Babylon 5, Straczynski got his start writing for He-Man, his first Hollywood credit. He later worked on She-Ra, Jason the Wheeled Warriors, and Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future. Lou Scheimer, co-founder of Filmation, voiced Orko under the credited name of Eric Gundon. The Wizard wasn't the only He-Man character he voiced though. Over the course of the show, he took on the roles of 18 different characters. The first cartoon based on a toy was Hot Wheels in 1969. He-Man became the first cartoon based on an action figure. Before its debut, the Federal Communications Commission strictly separated programming from advertising. In 1969, complaints about Hot Wheels airing on ABC led the FCC to classify it as advertising time. While this ruling applied to major networks, local stations were exempt, allowing He-Man to break new ground despite some protests. And it wasn't long before other action figure manufacturers like Hasbro followed suit, of course. In 1983, sales of He-Man, Skeletor, Man-at-Arms, Teela and the rest of their colourful crew reached a staggering $736 million. Despite the distinctiveness of the Masters of the Universe action figures in the market, much of He-Man's success was widely attributed to what many parents and critics viewed as 30-minute toy commercials. This daily dose of He-Man cartoons, fed to impressionable children, played a significant role in making Masters of the Universe a highly profitable venture for Mattel. He-Man used rotoscoping to enhance character movement. Invented by Max Fleischer in 1915, rotoscoping involves tracing live-action footage for more lifelike animation. In He-Man, rotoscoping is noticeable in Skeletor's movements, but is primarily applied to He-Man himself. A clear example appears in the opening credits when Prince Adam steps towards the screen. A legend surrounding the origins of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe traces back to Mattel's brief involvement with the 1982 film Conan the Barbarian. In 1981, Mattel struck an agreement with CPI Productions to produce a line of Conan toys. However, just 6 months later, Mattel requested the termination of the license, presumably after learning the film had been given an R rating for nudity, sexual content, and graphic violence. Recognizing the potential for a barbarian-themed toy line, and with Hanna-Barbera's Thundarr the Barbarian enjoying success as a Saturday morning cartoon, Mattel reworked the concept and released its He-Man toy line in 1982. In 1996, Lou Scheimer attempted to revive the franchise with a new concept. He put together a series Bible for Hero, son of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. The proposed show would have centered on Dare, a young orphaned Eternian boy adopted by Adam and Teela, now King and Queen of Eternia, and who becomes the heir to the Power Sword. Like his adoptive father, Dare would transform into a powerful hero. And in true Masters of the Universe fashion, he would give himself the somewhat ridiculous name of Hero. Scheimer pitched the idea, but unfortunately it was not to be. He-Man battled Superman. In his first appearance in a full-sized comic book from DC Comics, He-Man faces off against the Man of Steel. Superman travels to the planet Eternia, where he soon falls under the control of He-Man's archenemy Skeletor. This epic story can be found in DC Comics Presents number 47 from July 7th, 1982. The following December, a 3-issue Masters of the Universe limited series was released. Additionally, a Masters of the Universe comic book series was produced by Marvel in 1986. Before 1977, toys were released together with films as merchandising tie-ins, but this approach was flipped when Raggedy Ann and Andy, a musical adventure, debuted as the first theatrical motion picture in which a consumer toy was the star. A decade later, Masters of the Universe claimed the title of being the first action figure franchise to inspire a live-action film. Produced by Canon Films, Masters of the Universe starred Dolph Lundgren as He-Man and Frank Langella as Skeletor. Audiences naturally expected the film to be a live-action adaptation of the popular cartoon. Instead, it was based on earlier stories featured in the mini-comics packaged with the toys, which portrayed He-Man as a barbarian warrior with no secret identity. This confusion among fans, coupled with bad acting, led to the film's failure at the box office. Mattel sought to expand He-Man and the Masters of the Universe's appeal to young girls, targeting this new demographic with the creation of He-Man's sword-wielding twin sister, She-Ra. In September 1985, the animated spin-off series She-Ra, Princess of Power, also produced by Filmation, made its TV debut. The first season aired 5 days a week, just like He-Man. Shortly after its debut, She-Ra managed to push He-Man down to the number 3 spot in the ratings, ranking second only to the Transformers, which was America's number 1 animated TV show at the time. The second season of She-Ra, Princess of Power was moved to Saturday mornings. After 2 seasons and 93 episodes, the series was cancelled in December 1986. Masters of the Universe was packed with awesome vehicles. The sturdy Battle Ram, the agile Wind Raider, and of course the Attack Track. In 1985, the fourth wave of toys introduced the Bashosaurus, a vehicle capable of swinging a massive ball to clear any obstacle in its path. But before it became the Bashosaurus, it was to be given the amazing title of the Ballbuster. The He-Man universe also features a toy whose defining characteristic is its terrible smell. And there you have it, folks. You now know a little bit more about He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. If you enjoyed the video, which I presume you did as you got this far, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos coming to Rocky Watches Movies. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.